Consumer Reports testing found the highest levels of PFAS, forever chemicals linked to cancer and immune collapse, in one of America's most beloved sparkling water brands. But crack open the wrong can, and what you're really drinking is artificial sweeteners that destroy gut bacteria, undisclosed chemical compounds, and forever chemicals accumulating in your organs, all disguised as pure, healthy water. If this has been your go-to brand for 5, 10, or 20 years, everything we found has been building up in your body that entire time. Today, we're exposing 11 flavored sparkling water brands that failed to earn your trust, including 2 that market themselves as premium, plus the 2 brands that actually tested clean. By the end, you'll know exactly which cans to keep and which ones belong in the trash. Coming in at number 11, Sparkling Ice. The bright-colored bottles, the zero-calorie promise, the vitamin-enhanced label that makes it feel like a health drink sitting in the cooler next to actual water. Sparkling Ice looks like the smart swap for soda. Pick up the bottle and read what's actually inside. Sucralose, the artificial sweetener marketed as a harmless sugar substitute. Research published in the journal Nature found that sucralose alters the composition of gut bacteria and can change how your body responds to glucose. Your gut flora doesn't recover overnight. It shifts, and once it shifts, your digestion, your immune function, your metabolic response, all of it changes with it. Then the colors. Red 40 and Blue 1 are printed right there on the label if you squint hard enough. Both synthetic dyes have been flagged by consumer advocacy groups and are restricted or banned in parts of Europe for potential health effects. Red 40 has been linked to hypersensitivity reactions in clinical reviews. Blue 1 has raised concerns in toxicology studies about effects on cellular function. These are chemicals designed to make water look like candy. Now think about what 0 calories actually means here. It doesn't mean nothing is in the water. It means the sweeteners they chose don't register as calories, but they still register in your body. They still interact with your insulin. They still alter your gut. For anyone managing blood sugar or taking daily diabetes medication, sucralose can interfere with insulin response, quietly undermining the prescriptions you depend on. For families handing this to teenagers as a soda replacement, you traded one chemical cocktail for another with a prettier label. 0 calories. Maximum deception. That's the deal Sparkling Ice offers, and millions keep taking it every single day. If a 0-calorie vitamin water is really just artificial sweeteners and synthetic dyes, what's hiding inside the brands that claim to be even simpler? Let's find out. At number 10, Bubly. PepsiCo's pastel cans, the cute lowercase letters, the playful flavor names that make grocery shopping feel whimsical. Bubly wants you to believe there's nothing inside but sparkling water and a whisper of fruit. The ingredient list says natural flavor. 2 words. No explanation, no detail, no transparency whatsoever. Independent analysis has shown that the term natural flavor can legally encompass dozens of individual chemical compounds used to engineer a specific taste profile. The FDA allows manufacturers to hide behind that phrase without ever disclosing what those compounds actually are or how they're processed. You're trusting PepsiCo, a corporation that built its entire empire on sugar, corn syrup, and artificial flavoring, to put nothing harmful in your water. That's not health. That's faith. And faith doesn't belong on an ingredient label. Bubly's parent company generated over $70 billion in revenue last year. They could afford to publish every compound in their flavoring process. They could afford to run third-party testing and post the results publicly. They choose not to. That silence isn't modesty, it's strategy. Because publishing what's inside means defending what's inside. And they'd rather you never ask the question. For anyone watching kidney function or relying on blood pressure medication daily, consuming undisclosed chemical flavoring agents adds a variable your doctor can't account for and your pharmacist can't cross-reference. For people who switched from soda to Bubly thinking they were making the clean choice, you switched from one PepsiCo product to another. Same corporation. Same silence, same refusal to tell you what you're swallowing. Different can. 2 words hiding everything. That's Bubly's entire transparency policy. Think PepsiCo is the only giant hiding behind natural flavors? Coca-Cola has their own version. And it comes with a bonus they don't advertise on the front of the can. Number 9. AHA, Coca-Cola's answer to the sparkling water boom. Bold flavor mashups, trendy graphic design, and a little secret tucked inside some of those cans that most people never notice. Caffeine. 30 milligrams per can in the caffeinated varieties, with no prominent warning anywhere on the front of the label. You have to flip the can around and hunt for it in small print. Most people grabbing a sparkling water from the office fridge aren't checking for stimulants. They're checking for bubbles. But there it is, caffeine hidden in a product that looks and markets itself identically to plain flavored water. Then there's the citric acid. AHA uses aggressive levels to achieve those bold flavor combinations they splash across every advertisement. Dentists have raised repeated concerns about citric acid's role in enamel erosion over time. Your tooth enamel doesn't regenerate. Once it's worn away, it's gone forever. Every sip of highly acidic, sparkling water strips a little more of the only mineral protection your teeth have. And unlike soda, which most people at least recognize as acidic, sparkling water feels neutral. It feels harmless. So people drink more of it, more often, with less caution than they would anything else. For people taking beta blockers or medications for heart rhythm irregularities, or anyone managing anxiety with daily prescriptions, 30 milligrams of unmarked caffeine can trigger palpitations, elevate blood pressure, and counteract the very medications keeping your heart stable. For anyone drinking 3 or 4 cans a day without realizing they're caffeinated, that's over 100 milligrams of caffeine you never consented to consume. Caffeine in your water. Acid dissolving your enamel. That's Coca-Cola's idea of a healthy alternative. Water shouldn't need a warning label. AHA quietly proves some brands think otherwise. If Coca-Cola hides caffeine in sparkling water, what else are the heritage brands concealing behind their century-old reputations? Number 8 is a name people trust instinctively. Perrier. The green glass bottle, the French mineral spring, the brand that's been synonymous with sophistication and purity since 1898. Perrier built its entire empire on one word: purity. Then in 1990, benzene was found in Perrier bottles distributed worldwide. Not a trace amount. Enough to trigger a global recall of 160 million bottles across 120 countries. Benzene is a known carcinogen classified by the World Health Organization. It causes leukemia. It damages bone marrow. It destroys blood cell production. And it was inside the world's purest water. Perrier blamed a dirty filter at their Vergese bottling plant. They recalled everything, cleaned up, and relaunched. The brand survived. The reputation was painstakingly rebuilt. But here's what most consumers never learned. The flavored Perrier varieties sitting on shelves today have drifted far from that original purity promise. They contain added natural flavors with no detailed disclosure of what those compounds actually are or where they come from. The same vague labeling trick every other brand on this list uses to avoid accountability. A brand that once had a confirmed carcinogen in its water now asks you to trust undisclosed flavoring agents based on nothing but the name printed on the bottle. For people with compromised liver function or weakened detoxification pathways, and for anyone who chose Perrier specifically because they believed it was the purest option in the store, you chose a reputation, not a guarantee. Benzene in the bottle, mystery in the flavoring, purity only on the label. One recall they hoped you'd forget. At least Perrier has a real mineral spring. The next brand might not even have that. Number 7. Poland Spring Sparkling. The New England heritage, the mountain imagery on every label, the word spring right there on the front of every bottle. Poland Spring wants you to picture pristine glacial sources feeding your sparkling water through ancient rock formations. In 2020, a major lawsuit told a very different story. Plaintiffs allege that Poland spring water didn't actually come from natural springs at all, but from ordinary groundwater sources. Common wells dressed up with premium branding and nature photography. The case was eventually settled, but the allegations struck at the core of what the brand had promised for decades. Spring water should mean something specific. It should mean natural mineral content, geological filtration, the kind of calcium and magnesium your bones and heart actually depend on. If it's just treated groundwater run through industrial filters, you're paying spring prices for tap water with carbonation and a mountain on the label. The flavored sparkling line adds another layer. Undisclosed natural flavor compounds sit on the ingredient list with no further explanation, no sourcing information, no third-party verification of any kind. For people choosing mineral sparkling water specifically for health benefits, or anyone relying on dietary calcium and magnesium for bone density and cardiovascular support, Poland Spring may be delivering neither the minerals you expect nor the purity you're paying extra for. The spring on the label, the groundwater allegedly in the bottle. Premium pricing for ordinary water. They built an entire brand on geography that a lawsuit says never existed. If heritage branding can't be trusted, surely the brands that went viral for being clean and pure must be different. Right? Wrong. Number 6, LaCroix. The colorful cans, the cult following, the brand that launched 1,000 sparkling water converts and became a lifestyle symbol almost overnight. LaCroix became the face of the clean sparkling water movement by claiming its flavors come from natural essence oils with zero additives of any kind. Pure and simple, nothing artificial, nothing hidden. Then in 2019, a class action lawsuit alleged something very different. The suit claimed LaCroix contained synthetic compounds including limonene, linalool, and linalool propionate. These chemicals, while found naturally in plants, are also manufactured synthetically in laboratories. The lawsuit argued their presence directly contradicted LaCroix's all-natural marketing claims that had driven years of consumer loyalty and premium pricing. The case was ultimately dismissed. LaCroix maintained their ingredients were naturally derived and always had been. But the lawsuit exposed a fundamental problem that persists to this day. No one outside LaCroix's own facilities can independently verify what natural essence oils actually means in practice. There's no third-party testing published anywhere. There's no independent verification available to consumers or regulators or journalists. You have to take their word for it. And their word is backed by nothing but their own marketing department's assurances. For people with respiratory sensitivities or chemical allergies, or anyone taking statins metabolized through the liver, undisclosed terpene compounds add metabolic stress to organs already working overtime processing daily medication. For the millions who switched to LaCroix specifically because they believed it was the cleanest option on the shelf, you believed marketing that no independent lab has ever confirmed or denied. The cult following. The colorful cans. The ingredients no one outside the company can verify. LaCroix built a religion around purity. But faith without evidence is just branding with better graphic design. See the pattern yet? Budget brands hide behind low prices. Heritage brands hide behind history. Cult brands hide behind loyalty. So where does that leave the brands that promise bold flavor and total transparency? Let's find out. If you're finding this helpful, take a second to hit subscribe. It's free, and it means you'll never miss these investigations. Number 5. Waterloo, crafted in Austin, Texas. Non-GMO verified. Zero everything on the label. Bold flavors with a clean conscience. Waterloo checks every box a health-conscious consumer looks for when scanning the sparkling water aisle. On the label, at least. What Waterloo doesn't publish is third-party testing results for contaminants like PFAS or microplastics. In an era where forever chemicals have been detected across the entire sparkling water industry, and where Consumer Reports has publicly tested and ranked brands for PFAS contamination, choosing not to publish your results isn't caution. It's a red flag the size of Texas. Then there's the citric acid. Waterloo uses aggressive levels to achieve those intense, bold fruit flavors that distinguish them from milder competitors. The result tastes sharp and vibrant. It also creates an acidic environment that can wreak havoc on sensitive digestive systems over time. For anyone dealing with acid reflux or GERD, or for people with reduced kidney filtration who drink 3 or 4 cans daily because the label says zero everything, that citric acid accumulates with every single can. Zero sugar doesn't mean zero consequences. Zero calories doesn't mean zero damage. Waterloo's bold flavor comes with a bold gamble. Trust us, they say, even though we won't show you the test results that would prove it. Non-GMO verified. PFAS status unknown. That's not transparency. That's selective honesty designed to look like full disclosure. The things they verify are the things that look good on labels. The things they hide might be the things that determine whether this water is actually safe to drink every day. Check your fridge. If Waterloo is your daily go-to, you deserve to know why they'll verify what's not in their water but won't verify what is. At least Waterloo is upfront about being a newer brand. The next one has been trusted for generations. That doesn't make it safe. Number 4. Schweppes. The name alone carries decades of weight. Generations of Americans associate Schweppes with quality and reliability without a second thought. Club soda at dinner parties. Ginger ale when someone in the family feels sick. A brand so familiar and so deeply established, it feels like part of the household furniture you never think to question. But read the fine print on the back of that can. Some Schweppes sparkling water products contain added sodium in the form of sodium bicarbonate and sodium citrate. These are common buffering agents used throughout the beverage industry to adjust taste and mouthfeel. But in a product that most consumers perceive as essentially plain water with bubbles and nothing else, added sodium is a hidden variable that nobody tracks and nobody accounts for. The flavored varieties compound the problem with those now familiar undisclosed natural flavors. No specification of what they contain, no breakdown of their chemical components, no transparency of any kind offered to the consumer. For anyone managing hypertension or congestive heart failure, or for people whose doctors have put them on strict sodium limits alongside prescription diuretics designed to flush sodium from their system, hidden sodium in your daily sparkling water quietly pushes intake past the threshold your medication is calibrated to control. Your cardiologist restricts your salt. Your sparkling water adds it back without telling you. And you never knew, because the can says water and nothing about it suggests it could be working against your prescriptions. Schweppes has been on store shelves for decades. That longevity isn't proof of safety or quality. It's proof of branding that outlasted the scrutiny it deserved. A legacy name. Hidden sodium. Undisclosed flavoring compounds. Your grandparents trusted it because no one told them otherwise. That trust was inherited, never earned through published testing. If a legacy brand hides sodium in water, imagine what a nostalgia brand can conceal behind a glass bottle and childhood memories. Number 3. Clearly Canadian. The iconic glass bottles. The 90s nostalgia. The triumphant crowd-funded comeback that made loyal fans feel like they were part of something special, something pure, something worth bringing back from the dead. Clearly Canadian returned from the past promising the same beloved flavors in the same beautiful bottles that an entire generation remembered fondly. What the triumphant marketing campaign didn't emphasize is that the relaunched product still contains fructose as a sweetener. Not stevia, not monk fruit, not erythritol, fructose. This isn't sparkling water. It's a soft drink wearing sparkling water's clothing, sitting in the sparkling water aisle, priced like premium hydration. The distinction matters enormously because it changes what this product does inside your body. Fructose is metabolized directly and almost exclusively by the liver. Unlike glucose, which your entire body can use for energy, fructose routes straight to one organ and overwhelms it. Research published in the Journal of Hepatology has linked regular fructose consumption to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, elevated triglycerides, insulin resistance, and increased visceral fat accumulation around the organs. For people at risk for type 2 diabetes, or anyone who carefully monitors blood sugar and specifically chose sparkling water to avoid sweetened beverages entirely, Clearly Canadian defeats the entire purpose of that switch. You thought you were choosing water. You were choosing sugar with better packaging and a prettier bottle. Nostalgia in a glass bottle. Fructose in every single sip. The glass packaging. The premium price point. The childhood memory weaponized to sell you the very thing you were trying to avoid. They brought back the brand. They brought back the sugar. They just stopped calling it what it is. 2 brands left on the avoid list. Both are names millions reach for without a second thought, and both are hiding something that doesn't wash out of your body. What's the worst sparkling water you've ever tried? Drop it in the comments. Let's see which brands keep showing up. Number 2. Polar Seltzer. Family-owned since 1882. A Massachusetts institution. The kind of brand people defend fiercely because it feels local, honest, and real in an industry full of corporate pretenders. Polar doesn't need flashy marketing or celebrity endorsements. It has heritage and fierce regional loyalty built over more than a century and a half of selling sparkling water to New England families. But heritage doesn't equal transparency, and loyalty doesn't guarantee safety. Polar has faced consistent criticism for offering zero disclosure about its natural flavor compounds. What chemicals are in those flavors? Where are they sourced from? How are they processed and tested before they reach your can? Polar won't say. They have never published that information. And the bigger concern extends well beyond flavoring agents. Independent PFAS testing across the sparkling water industry has revealed that some seltzer brands contain detectable levels of forever chemicals. PFAS don't break down in the human body. They accumulate silently over years and decades without any mechanism for removal. The Environmental Protection Agency has linked PFAS exposure to elevated cholesterol, thyroid disruption, kidney cancer, and weakened immune response. Every one of those conditions becomes significantly more dangerous after the age of 50. For anyone who has been drinking Polar daily for 10, 20, or 30 years as their trusted hydration choice, or for people managing thyroid conditions alongside daily medication, decades of potential PFAS accumulation is not a theoretical concern. It's a calculation with real health consequences your doctor should know about but can't track. Family-owned since 1882. Zero published PFAS test results in 142 years. Loyalty is not a lab result, and loving a brand doesn't make its water clean. That's not tradition. That's a wall built to keep questions out. The #1 spot goes to a brand with cult status, premium pricing, and the single worst test results of any sparkling water ever measured in this country. #1. Topo Chico, the Mexican mineral spring heritage. The cult status among food lovers and bartenders. The premium pricing that makes every can feel like you're drinking something special and exclusive. Coca-Cola acquired Topo Chico and turned that cult reputation into mass market distribution across every major grocery chain in America. Then Consumer Reports published their PFAS testing results, and everything changed. Topo Chico measured at 9.76 parts per trillion of PFAS, the highest concentration of any sparkling water brand tested in the entire study. Not close to the highest, not tied. The single worst result in the category by a significant margin. PFAS are called forever chemicals because they never break down. Not in soil, not in water treatment facilities, not in your bloodstream. They accumulate in your organs, your tissues, your blood. The EPA has linked chronic PFAS exposure to increased cholesterol, kidney cancer, thyroid disease, and suppression of immune function. At 9.76 parts per trillion, every single can adds to a toxic burden your body cannot remove. For people who drink Topo Chico daily as their premium hydration choice, or for anyone taking cholesterol medication while unknowingly consuming PFAS that actively raise the very cholesterol their prescription is designed to lower, you're fighting your own health with every sip. The most popular, the most expensive, the most contaminated. That's the brand bartenders recommend. That's the brand influencers photograph. That's the brand with more forever chemicals than any sparkling water ever tested in America. Cult status, premium pricing, record-breaking contamination. Topo Chico isn't the healthy choice. It's the most dangerous sparkling water you can buy. Drop a comment if Topo Chico is in your fridge right now. Let's see how many of us have been paying extra for the most contaminated water on the market. 11 brands exposed, from artificial sweeteners and hidden caffeine to undisclosed compounds, concealed sodium, disguised fructose, and record-breaking forever chemicals. That's what's been in your fridge. But 2 brands prove it can be done right. Clean water, real ingredients, nothing to hide. San Pellegrino Essenza. After 11 brands hiding behind vague labels and undisclosed compounds, San Pellegrino Essenza is a genuine relief. The ingredient list reads exactly like it should. Real fruit juice extracts provide the flavor, not mystery compounds engineered in a laboratory. No artificial sweeteners disrupting your gut bacteria. No synthetic dyes turning water into candy. No hidden sodium working against your heart medication. Every ingredient printed clearly on the can with nothing to decode, nothing to research, and nothing to lose sleep over. The water comes from a documented high-altitude Italian mineral spring with published mineral content you can look up and verify yourself. Calcium, magnesium, and bicarbonate occur naturally in the source water, not added during industrial processing, not sprayed in at a bottling plant. They exist because the spring itself produces them through centuries of natural geological filtration through alpine rock. European food safety standards govern the entire production chain from source to shelf, and those standards consistently exceed American benchmarks for contaminant screening and ingredient disclosure requirements. For anyone taking daily medication who needs to know exactly what they're putting in their body, or for people who have spent years unknowingly drinking brands that refuse to tell them what's inside. This is what actual transparency looks like when a company chooses to practice it. The naturally occurring minerals genuinely support the very health functions that other brands on this list quietly undermine. Calcium for bone density, magnesium for cardiovascular function. Real minerals from a real spring in a can that hides absolutely nothing. San Pellegrino Essenza costs a little more than the brands we exposed, but after everything you just heard, cheap was never the bargain it pretended to be. Spindrift. Every other brand on this list uses the words natural flavor to describe something they refuse to explain. Spindrift uses real squeezed fruit. That is the entire ingredient philosophy. Real juice from real fruit, providing real flavor you can taste, verify, and understand without a chemistry degree. No flavoring agents manufactured in a facility. No essence oils extracted through processes nobody will describe. No lab-engineered compounds designed to trick your tongue into believing a strawberry was involved. Actual strawberries. The ingredient list on every Spindrift can is so short and so plain it reads like a challenge to every other brand in the industry. Spindrift publishes sourcing information for their fruit. They tell you where the lemons grow, where the berries are harvested. That level of supply chain transparency is virtually unheard of in the sparkling water market, where most brands treat their ingredient sourcing like classified intelligence. The testing results tell the real story. Independent analysis screened Spindrift for PFAS, heavy metals, and microplastics. Clean results across the board. In an industry where the most popular brand tested at 9.76 parts per trillion of forever chemicals, clean independent testing results are not a bonus feature. They're the bare minimum every brand should provide and almost none do. For people taking blood thinners, statins, or blood pressure medication daily, knowing exactly what's in your water is a medical necessity most brands ignore completely. Spindrift provides that knowledge without making you fight for it. Real fruit, clean testing, total transparency, what sparkling water was always supposed to be. 11 brands, 11 lies, one refrigerator that needs cleaning. Subscribe now, and if you're watching on TV, tap your remote so you never get blindsided again.